Hello, I'm Amanda with Amanda Lynn Therapies. I'm creating this channel to help put out there into the world what I practice, what I preach. I've been a mental health therapist since 2016, practicing as an intern, licensed in 2019. And since my time in the field, I've learned a lot. And I would be happy during this time in this channel to share more of my experience and things that I've been through during my history and my practice. This channel is not made for clinical purposes or recommendations or by any means is a part of a therapeutic practice. All these things are going to be from my own personal experiences that I'm going to be sharing that I have found to be helpful for me, and in turn I would like to just share them with others without a clinical format to then just say, hey, to the world, this is available to you. This is something that I need. What about you? Maybe it's something that you can use too. Maybe it's something you're already using and don't even realize it, or maybe you have had the right intentions the whole time, just didn't know how to put them together and then blast off, here's the answer. And it's going to be different for everyone. I've been hearing lately how unique my practice is, and so although I've had intentions to record and put my practices out there before, I feel like there might be too much pressure on myself, so here we go. I'm just going to put it out there and see if my videos get more momentum over time. So here at Amanda Lynn LLC, a lot of my practice is about a whole person philosophy. When I talk about a whole person philosophy, I'm talking about this mind, body, emotions being that we're a part of. And then I like to add the fourth spiritual dimension or piece if people are willing to participate or act on that. And so when we talk about the mind, body, emotions, we're talking about cognitive behavioral therapy. In Western medicine, Western psychotherapy, that's more than often what is practiced. Now they call things like trauma-informed cognitive behavioral therapy, or there's things like complex trauma and all these other things in cases that we're going through as a humanity as well. And so I try to take some of these terms and then turn them into my own practice or my whole person philosophy. Then I talk to people. So something that I learned that was very important during my studies and practice as an intern, working towards my licensure, or I was actually licensed by this time, was working in a preschool during COVID times in a, you could say, low-income city. You know, homelessness was very prevalent, lots of Medicaid. Head Start was funding the program to help the families so that they could support these kiddos at school and at home. So the reason why they had created this program was to implement the pyramid model, which is a bigger model for schools and constructs for emotional regulation while at school. However, they were seeing statistically that the number of expulsions for preschoolers was the highest out of all ages. Surprise, our little toddlers, 3 and 4-year-olds are the ones that have the biggest school issues. So that is because they don't have words. They hit, they push, they bite, they do other things because they don't understand emotions, period, let alone how to use language. And so a lot of in this practice here that I study is words and language, and how do we use words and how do we treat one another and how valuable they are, how important are they. And so in doing so, when we are educating others, we're trying to implement this whole person practice at a very young age to then be able to help our kiddos learn how to emotionally regulate. So as they go into elementary school, first kindergarten, middle school, high school, we can see these behaviors supersede because they already have the tools, so that by the time they get to these other ages, we can already have prevention in place, which is what we want. So, and that being said, we would be working at schools and at the homes, but as we get older too, we have other developmental issues, we have other environmental influencers, we have family dynamics, and we have cultural pieces within our communities that give us this tug and war, push and pull around our identity, this anxiety, this emotional who am I, and this whole person philosophy. So just today, I would like to give more background of, what do I say to people in first session? And this is so very important to me. And in first session, we always talk about developmental pieces in childhood. So between that 0 to 12, that prefrontal cortex is still developing. That pineal gland isn't even there yet. So the ability to conceptualize an I is not there. So whenever a child hears you from a parent, they think I, or they hear I from a parent, they, a parent says, I love hot chocolate, and then the child says, I love hot chocolate. They mirror the reciprocal of their parent, what their parents say, or if dad comes home and knocks over the blocks, they're going to feel like it's their fault for whatever reason because they can't conceptualize the distance between the other's actions and their own entity being of their actions and what their consequence without realizing it. So then we can carry that into our adolescence, 12 to 21, 22 for girls, 23, 24 for boys, where this pineal gland starts to develop, but it's still very new development, very beginning phases. And this is where we go through that. What is the I am? What do I like? What do I not like? And yet at the same time develop, depending on what happened in that early childhood, there might already be some unhealthy habits that have already started to come in. Maybe the environment, maybe the community is already pushing unhealthy substances or behaviors in order to survive, because the environment, the culture, the conditions are pushing that child to such limits that they say, I have no other choice than what's disposed to me, and my options aren't looking really good at all. So that's where these pulls and pulls come from. And then this is the perfect time during adolescence to start with compassionate communication. Who am I? What do I like about myself? What do I love? What do I not like? And really being able to help establish those boundaries during that time so that they can practice, expressing their emotions or communicating their needs or setting boundaries or being able to say no in healthy ways in a world that's ever changing. And then from 21, 22 for girls, 23, 24 for boys, the pineal gland development is finalizing. And that's where we get to really come into this acceptance of I am. Who am I? We get to look back at our lives and say, what did my family teach me? What were my family's values? What did my community, my environment teach me? And then we get to say in contrast, well, who am I? Do I really like myself? Do I like what I went through? Offer yourself that empathy to be able to say, what got me to this place? What held me back? What would I do differently? In this curious way to be able to say in self-discovery, I think I like that. I think that's what it means to be me. Or if there's these pieces that say, ooh, I really thrive off of hurting other people, or ooh, maybe I should have set a boundary there. Ooh, I wasn't looking out for myself or my friends in that situation. How would we do it differently? What is healthy? What is appropriate? What are those tools? And what I've found in this practice is the biggest issue. People don't have tools. We've been led in a world with so many negative consequences and fear-driven base initiatives that we've forgotten all the tools in the meantime. And so for me, when I go back to this practice, it's this humanistic whole person philosophy, this mind, body, emotion being, and if you want to include that spirit part, to then say, do I like myself? And how do I want to be? How do I want to live my life? How do I treat others? How do I treat myself? And in most cases, it's not so great. So this is our opportunity to, even if we don't express it outwardly to others, to internally be able to recognize what is that I, what is that I am, what do I like about me, and offer ourselves that empathy. One thing that we're coming to be short and far between, offering ourselves that empathy and authenticity to say, you know what, this does suck. This really hurts, and the struggle is really real. I'm in a lot of pain. I got to do something different. I got to figure something out. My body's aching. My anxiety is through the roof. Can't get out of bed. Eating habits are awful. Maybe the house is a mess. Whatever those things might be. So how do we get back the reins in our own life? How do we get back to that authenticity that says I can treat and act towards myself how I'd like to with others, in that sense of human consciousness and just genuine connection? So we'll be having more self-discovery conversations about this, and every week or so I always have a new theme because the world is always constantly presenting new issues to address. And so as hopefully I'm able to roughly put things more out there, there will be more conversations which will lead to more direction. And I'll be happy to answer any comments or questions, or just be here as a response. So have a lovely day. Find yourself, your true wisdom within you, and I'll talk to you next.